What is up, guys? My name is Brent. I'm joined with Trent, and this is Recall. All right, guys, we got a lot to talk about in the world of League of Legends, from patches to the resurrection to playoffs. So we'll go ahead and jump right in. Trent, take us into patch 8.7.
All right, patch 8.7 dropped just today, actually. It is the patch they're going to release Aurelia rework on. So that's pretty exciting for all those Aurelia players. I've seen her videos. She looks absolutely awful to play against. So I'm expecting that to be nerfed to the point that it's unplayable and competitive. And if it is playable, it's going to be permanent.
All right.
Like, that champ does not look like it'll ever be balanced well. I mean, it looks fun in solo queue. I wouldn't expect to ever see it as a competitive champion.
Yeah.
But with competitive being said, I don't think this patch will see competitive play. By that, I mean, I don't see patch 8.7 actually being used in any pro games. I know finals are already set on patch 8.5 and 8.6 per region. And MSI will probably be playing on patch 8.8. That should release in about 2 weeks. I mean, there's a chance they try and play MSI and give pros a little more time to practice on the same patch and play on 8.7, but I think they'll just play on patch 8.8 because the way Riot is doing patches, patch 8.7 is going to be a bigger one. Patch 8.8 will be small, tiny fixes and buffs and nerfs to make the game flow a little better. So that'd be the most logical one for them to play it on anyway after releasing a champion, because that'll give them 2 weeks to fine tune it. So I'd expect really this will be for solo queue only. We won't see any pros playing their games on it or any competitive teams playing their games on it.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, she right now she's kind of interesting. Me and a buddy, we were playing All for One, and we got Tom Kench, and we were playing against Aurelia, and two people DC'd. You, Trent.
Yeah, I know.
And we 2v5. So Aurelia
Yeah.
sucks. But yeah, definitely. I'm excited to see how she. I watched one of real briefly that
The rework should help her become a more viable champion. And solo queue, I think she's gonna be really strong. I just don't think she'll ever be used in competitive because
Yeah.
she looks like, I mean, I don't know, Riven and another Dashy champion. I can't think of any right off the top of my head. If like Riven and Lucian somehow had a baby, that's kind of what I think of Aurelia as. But I don't know. We'll see.
Interesting baby. For sure, for sure. We'll go ahead and move on to some more franchising new in the EU.
Well, we talked about the franchising, how it got announced last week on last week's episode. There's a few more things going on with that now. Some more sponsorships got announced, some ad campaigns. Vitality, they've been doing pretty well this season. They picked up a new sponsor, Renault. It's a race car, basically, company in Europe. They're going to be sponsoring that team now. And one of the bigger blurbs, like the more important things that I caught from that news article, was that they're going to put the Vitality logo on all of their cars. So no matter what is going on, people are going to be able to see the Vitality logo and at least look it up and kind of get someone interested.
That's definitely interesting. Wow.
Yeah, it's definitely the other way around than how I'm used to. Like, I'm used to a sponsor getting their logo put on the Vitality jersey.
Yeah.
But Vitality is getting their logo put on their cars, and I guess it kind of like, I scratch your back, you scratch mine. So I'm sure the Renault logo will be on their jerseys,
For
but
sure.
if Renault gets more people interested in Vitality, and then Vitality gets more popular, they make more money off it too, basically. Like, I guess that's kind of how it works. It makes sense to me.
For sure.
It's just, I guess it's kind of, since League is still, and it's not necessarily, or esports isn't necessarily in its infancy, but it is still growing so much, you got to kind of help boost it with that kind of stuff too. So it makes sense to me.
For sure.
But more important, more fun news for European fans is the OG Resurrection campaign, or Origin Gaming. Now, everyone remembers Origin. They did their quarterfinals, or not quarterfinals, they had their semifinal run at Worlds in 2015 with Forgiven, Amazing, I believe. Basically, they had a huge Worlds run where no one expected them to do as well as they did. Made it all the way to semifinals, were a top 4 team in the world. Well, they had a real bad fall from grace, and they got relegated out last season from European LCS. But with franchising coming back, they're launching this huge ad campaign on Twitter. There's been rumors that they're trying to pick up both Froggen and Forgiven, like a EU LCS super team.
Interesting.
And they released that they picked up Insec, the creator of the famous Insec Lee Sin play, which is
Mm-hmm.
the one where you flash behind the enemy, AD carry most likely, and ult into your team. And they picked him up, and they picked up former G2 top laner Expect, who actually isn't on a team or anything, even though he's a 4-time Europe champion, which is really weird to me.
Yeah.
It's a really exciting team in theory because like that's a super team if I've ever heard one.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm just wondering who they pick up as support. I don't know when or what to expect. I don't know if they'll keep these players. I don't know if they'll try and get in the relegation tournament and then get it franchise after that. I don't know if they'll just try and franchise and not even worry about this season. I don't really know what their plans are, but it's very clear. And they picked up a sponsor, I think a former Real Madrid player. They are very likely applicants for the EULCS franchising. They are still, I believe the OG Twitter still has more followers than like 8 of the current EULCS teams, like the teams that are still in the league.
Yeah.
Like they have more followers as a relegated team that just completely fell out of the spotlight.
That's insane.
Yeah, so there's really no world in which I don't see Europe letting them into franchising unless they made zero management improvements.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting.
That's the biggest news from EU franchising. We'll kind of keep picking those up for a little while. It'll die off, and then we'll figure out what all the teams are come, later this year.
Awesome. Well, I'm definitely excited to see all the benefits coming out from that. We'll go ahead and transition to some funnel playoffs. What region would you like to start with, Trent?
We'll hit up Korea first. That's just how we've been doing it so far. So we'll do LCK. SKT played off against KSV. SKT won. In the first match was only best of 3, so SKT beat KSV 2-1. This week, SKT now has to play against KT Roaster, the classic telecom rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be the first playoff game that goes best of 5 this season for LCK. So expect to see a lot of improvisation, expect to see a lot of improvement.
Mm-hmm.
KT comes in with the advantage. They've already seen SKT play. They already are seed higher, and they have a more flexible roster because I assume they're putting sub or rush in as their sub for playoffs. SKT has shown that they only want to play with Blank and they only want to play with Tall and they only want to play with Effort. They aren't acting like they want to use any subs. KT has shown that they will sub in, score, and rush optionally, and that's always a huge advantage is to have a jungler who can watch and track what the other one is doing. So I expect KT to honestly come out on top here.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I'd love to see Rush make it past, that and maybe get into LCK finals after being silent for so long.
For sure.
So it'll be KT versus SKT this weekend. I'm expecting a 3-1 win for KT. Okay. And then whoever wins will go up against Jin Air Green Wings. And that will be the second place match. Finally, after that, following will finally be finals versus Longzhu Dragons.
Awesome. Very cool. Yeah, I got my imaginary SKT jersey on for Faker and
your imaginary SKT jersey. Dude, they don't always need to win LCK. It's no fun.
No, I don't want to see him win. I just want to see him get past semifinals, I guess.
That's fair. Their weird playoff format.
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to see Rush do well. He got to play in the last game and he just killed it. So I'm hoping he gets to see some play against SKT.
For sure.
It would make sense if they could just sub him in and kind of beat up on an already weak Blank, but we'll see what happens.
For sure. All right, we'll go ahead and go over to Europe. How does that sound?
Sounds good to me. So Europe had a pretty normal finals for them, or normal semifinals for them. It was G2 versus Splice, Vitality versus Fnatic, if you remember from last week. Mm-hmm. G2 ended up beating Splice 3-1. Fnatic beat Vitality 3-1, I believe. So what this means is Splice versus Vitality for the third place match. This is honestly kind of just one of those participation awards. Like, we'll see who ends up winning. Jizuke was the rookie of the split. So, and it's actually rookie of the split versus coach of the split because Splice had their coach of the split and Vitality had the rookie of the split. It'll be an interesting match. It'll be a good third place match. I would give it to Splice for they seem more stable. Mm-hmm. But if Vitality gets off to a couple early leads, I think Vitality takes it.
Gotta go fast.
Yep, gotta go fast. If Vitality does that, then I really expect them to be able to beat Splice because they might just be able to throw them off kilter enough to win a couple times.
Hmm.
But if the games get to 25 minutes and they're still relatively even, I'm assuming that's going to be Splice's game to lose.
Okay, gotcha.
More interesting though is the fact that we can finally get the storyline all the way through of the old Kings versus the new Kings in G2 versus Fnatic.
Hmm.
Because I always say how Fnatic always wins Europe, and they always do well, but in reality, I kind of was being facetious there because Fnatic hasn't been to finals in about 4 splits.
Wow.
G2 and Fnatic are going to play their first ever finals together.
Hmm.
So I honestly would recommend everyone to mute the stream if Vedius is casting. I love almost all the casters in EU. I really do. And people have been claiming that he does this all the time and he really is terrible about it. Anytime G2 versus Fnatic plays, he will just spam that it's old Kings versus new King the entire cast. Like it is the most obnoxious thing ever to have to listen to.
Nice.
So maybe either A, EULCS production does not let him cast, or B, they put him on a leash and say, do not say old Kings versus new Kings more than 3 times.
I'd like to see
But
them just as soon as he starts saying it, they just mute him. Everyone.
they
That
just
would
take
be
away
more
his, they just
enjoyable
unplug
than
his
having to listen
mic.
to him. Yep.
It's like when you have a little sibling and they're like, "Can I play?" and you give them the controller, it isn't plugged in. And you're like, "You get the arms, I'll get the legs."
Yeah.
Like that's basically what they say. She's like, "You're casting, don't worry."
Perfect, perfect. Yeah, that'll definitely be a fun game to watch. I'll definitely have to tune in.
It's actually super exciting because I mean, it's sad that we don't get to see the G2 with Sven and Mithy play against Fnatic,
Hmm.
but as much as I was making fun of them, the new reigning champions 4 years or 4 seasons splits in a row versus the old Fnatic who have 5 split championships total.
Hmm.
It's actually an insanely hype match.
Yeah.
I'm really expecting to see some really good games out of it, and I'm really hoping we get a 5 game series.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Let's go moving on to the Promised Land, the old and faithful NALCS.
Good old North America, Team Canada for the win. If anyone actually ended up watching the NALCS Civil War, that was a good meme. I'm really proud of Riot Productions. That was a great meme.
Definitely
If you
so.
haven't watched it, I really recommend going to look at it. It was about an hour long. The game is actually that they play is only 20 minutes, but it's such a good, hilarious stream. It has a bunch of personalities in it. You'll love it. I promise. If you're watching this stream and you put up with or watching this video and you put up with us, you will love that.
Awesome.
But the actual playoffs are in Miami this weekend.
Hmm.
First off, for the third place match, it'll be Echo Fox versus Clutch Gaming. Echo Fox ended up losing to Team Liquid 3-1. Clutch Gaming ended up taking 100 Thieves all the way to Game 5 and losing. I expect here, despite Clutch Gaming's huge rise, despite how well I always thought they were going to do, I think Echo Fox is the one team that actually has their number better than any other.
Okay.
Because Huni is such a dominant top laner.
Yeah.
I think he is the only person who can say, Solo, I see how you play the game. I see how you just take pressure. You can't do that against me. I will run you over, and he'll do that.
Hmm.
And he'll just kind of dominate the top lane. Phoenix will stabilize against Febiven and keep it neutral. Really, the only lane that I see Clutch Gaming being able to win through is their bot lane. And I don't see Dardak letting that happen. So
Yeah.
this is kind of the one time where I will actually say I don't think Clutch has a chance. I think Echo Fox beats them, but Echo Fox has been on tilt, so maybe that's kind of where Clutch can take a little bit of a free win. Maybe they can pick on Huni. Like if they 3v1 him a lot, maybe they'll be able to take some games, but
Hmm.
I'm not completely positive that they will have this game in the bag.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested to see the match up top because it seems like Clutch
Mhm.
always just kind of put Solo on an island. Just kind
They
of.
they definitely have a very direst strategy, like a very just leave you on the island. You just survive, and we'll do stuff elsewhere.
So I'm interested to see how Hootie reacts to that and how the jungler's path and all that good stuff to see how much pressure actually does end up having top, or if we're just have a slap fest and nothing actually happens.
Mm-hmm.
So
It will be really weird to see an LCK champion top laner Huni straight up get 4th place in an ALCS. Like if he does lose this game, that would be insane.
yeah,
And I mean, I'm not being crazy when I say that. Obviously, this means NALCS is really good, right? No,
yeah.
is that a crazy claim? I don't know. I'm trolling, but it is really funny to think that the SKT T1 top laner, although he didn't win Worlds, he won LCK finals last season, and
Yeah.
he didn't make it to finals, and there's a chance that he doesn't even make third place again. That's sad almost. That
Yeah.
really is sad because he was like that was his whole mantra this season was he just wanted to win NA. It's the only like real region that he hasn't won besides China.
Yeah.
So
How far are we fallen?
for real. But most importantly is the very emotional and the very real finals that's going to happen this year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much everyone has kept up with Twitter and Reddit and all that League of Legends stuff. I'm not going to go saying exactly what happened, but there was a really tragic event between with Doublelift and his family.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a really sad all around thing. A lot of people didn't know, or not a lot of people, no one really knew if Doublelift was going to play in finals up until tonight, actually. This is basically breaking news for Recall.
Mm-hmm.
But Steve, Team Liquid's owner, announced on his Twitter that Doublelift will be playing in the finals in Miami. So I have to send all my support to Doublelift. It's insane that he has the drive and resolve to play despite all of this happening to him. He's really cementing himself as the best player in NA. Like
Mm-hmm.
legacy wise and drive, it's insane how strong this guy is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's because he started his league career being kicked out of his parents' house and just going from there. And now even despite this tragic event happening to him, he's still just putting it all into the game.
Yeah.
So
He wears his heart on his sleeve, and it's beautiful to think. And our thoughts and prayers with Doublelift and Team Liquid and all that family just around him, and hopefully it turns out as best as possible. So
it's going to be it was going to be a hype matchup anyway. It was going to be Afro Move versus Doublelift, former bot lane support duo, versus Cody Sun and Ole, also former bot lane and support duo. But on top of this is Doublelift's coming off this whole weekend, and some players, the players in other leagues like in NFL and stuff, when they do have a tragic event happen and they decide that they want to play the game, you almost always see them just completely dominate the competition. Like they just put everything into that game. And I'm seriously, it's either going to be a very close 5-game series that has a lot of ups and downs, or it's going to be a Team Liquid 3-0 with Doublelift just putting the entire team on his back. And either way, I'm excited to watch that.
Yeah.
Like I'm excited to watch that series one way or another.
For sure. Yeah, that's definitely going to be one to watch out for. I'm excited for it. Yeah, that's not much else to say on that one other than we can hope for him.
Really, everyone just be sure. I mean, I ask out to obviously whoever watches this in the entire league community that everyone be very respectful to Doublelift. Don't do anything don't insult the fact that he is playing, or if he, God forbid, if he is off his game or anything, just be considerate.
For sure.
People always talk about how toxic the league community is, and most of the time they can be right. But if we were ever going to prove to the other gaming communities and other sports communities in general that maybe esports is a realistic thing,
it's our moment to shine.
This is the time that we need to show our maturity.
Yep.
It's more than any other, as far as I'm concerned, at very least in North America. In Korea, we don't really have anything to prove, but to North American sports, we really have to show how mature we can be about this.
For sure.
So I know that's asking a lot about Twitch chat, but really hope
just
if we can't expect a lot
from let's go. Come on.
So hopefully the moderators on Reddit, on Twitch, on everything are just on their A game come Sunday.
Yeah. And I think so far we've done all right. I've seen a few bad things out there, but nothing crazy. So
there's always going to be the bad things. I just ask. I hope that those are limited to trolls and we completely shun them. I really want to see the league community kind of rise above it at least this one time.
Just this once, yeah.
Yeah, just this once.
Any other time, just this once, league. Alrighty, well, we'll go ahead. We'll move on. We'll jump into Overwatch League. Got a lot of fun things happening up and around. We'll just jump straight into the new stage finals that were just announced. Previously, how it worked was the top 3 of the stage would move on to playoffs. Number 2 and number 3 would face off in a semifinal. And then the winner of that would play in the finals against the number 1 seed, and then that would be your champion. Now it's gotten kind of interesting. I actually like this a lot. So now the top 4 teams are going to qualify. Um, and this is where it gets really fun. The top seed, so number 1 team of the stage, gets to pick their opponent for the semifinal. And then the other
Let the
teams.
trash talk begin. Oh
Exactly.
boy.
So it's definitely going to be interesting. I'm just really excited, especially with these Korean teams, because most of them are pretty confident. They're very cocky. Not cocky, they're just confident, I guess. They have some really fun personalities, to be honest. One of my favorites being Pine on the New York Excel. He's always saying how he's the best player, and he won't back down from that at all. He's just a fun personality to be around. So we'll definitely see how that comes out.
Ain't nothing wrong with a little bit of swagger and cockiness, so long as you can back it up.
I mean,
Pine has never had an issue with backing up his play.
Big Daddy Pine, as they call him. So yeah, he's definitely. I'm excited for how this is gonna play out. But obviously, 4 teams playing a stage or a semifinal, and then 2 winners from that move on to the stage final, and then there's crowned a winner, and the winner gets like $100,000 or something like that, I think, and runner-up gets $25,000. So a decent bit of change, just a little bit, for the troubles.
Just some chump change, yeah, totally.
Basically. And then also some news, we got the trade deadline, which is tonight, April 3rd. It goes dark right at midnight, so all trades will be done.
Is that midnight Pacific time, I'm assuming, where they are at?
I think so. Let me double check.
I would assume so. The only other thing I can think of would be
Pacific
GMT,
time.
which would make like no sense.
Yeah,
so
it's definitely Pacific time. You were correct. So yes, Pacific time. Those will go dark. No more trades, and they will be locked in for the rest of stage 3 and 4 until the major finals are over and done with, and we have whatever's next for Overwatch League. So definitely will be interesting. We've seen quite a few ads and drops and whatnot. Some notable ones from the Fuel. Hoping for the Fuel. Fingers crossed for the Fuel. They added Unko to support. He was from the Valiant. I loved watching Unko. He's got a great Zenyatta. Real fun to watch. He did some work on Valiant. Valiant just had way too many supports, to be honest. They had a lot of good supports. Verbo, I can't think of the other one. He's really great as well. But Unko has definitely got a solid pickup. They also picked up Rascal, which is really interesting to me because Rascal's a DPS. They already have Effect. They already have AKM. Effect is more of a Tracer, Genji player. And then you have AKM, who is their usual soldier. He can also pull out a Tracer, more of a McCree, stuff like that. But Rascal, he plays Soldier, he plays Genji, he plays McCree. He's actually from the London Spitfire, so he was one of their on the B team, as I like to call it, basically their scrim team that would play against London and scrims and all that fun practice stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But he wanted a starting role, so that he went over to the Fuel. So I'll definitely be interested to see how they integrate Rascal in there. They already have 2 DPSs. They're adding this third. I'm just real interested. It seems almost unneeded now if Rascal is just better than AKM or Effect. Effect has definitely been very, very silent in most of his play. And he's regarded as one of the best tracers and one of the best players in Overwatch League, but he's been very just subpar. So
just this last stage, or
just the entire ever since we started Overwatch League, he has been subpar within the Dallas Fuel. He has a nice play here and there, but for the most part, I mean, the hype behind this team, the Fuel were going to be the North American team that was going to take it to these Korean teams, these full Korean teams. Everyone thought the Fuel would be that number 2 or 3 spot, and they have done nothing. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how Rascal is integrated into that. We'll see. I think more dive comps with his Genji. I'm not a real big fan of the Genji players on Fuel right now. Effect is all right, but I think Rascal might be able to bring it in. So we also got Houston. They added Arhan. Houston recently, they were the only team that did not have a Korean player. As of last week, that ended. They now have, what's his name? Arhan. He's a DPS player. And this is another interesting one. He's a Tracer Genji player, is what he's known for. They already have, I can't think of his name. They have Jake, who kind of plays Tracer, but isn't the best. They have Clockwork, who is another Tracer player. He's okay. And then they also have, I can't think of his name. Let me find him real quick. Linkser is his name. Linkser, who has been on the Tracer. He's been on the Widow. Lynx is probably one of my favorite players on that team. He's just so insane. But they already have quite a few DPS roles on that team already. It's going to be interesting to see how they integrate him as well. It seems like a almost just not really needed for the team as far as they weren't struggling
Dallas
in that.
Fuel is just, or not Dallas Fuel, Houston Outlaws is just planning their solo queue comp. Just the 6 DPS, right?
Just about, it
Totally
seems.
valid strategy.
Yep. They also, and I don't know how to pronounce his name, it's FCTN, so Fiction maybe. He's a tank player. He plays Winston Reinhardt. He's actually a U.S. player, but they just added him as well, so that'll be interesting to see. Maybe give Muma a break because Muma is constantly in there. He doesn't take a break from the game at all, so let him have a little bit of time to breathe. We'll move over. The Valiant added Bunny. Bunny previously was playing DPS for Seoul Dynasty. He wanted a starting role as well. They couldn't give it to him. They had better players, basically. So he moved over to the Valiant. He's a Tracer player, which is really, really interesting because Valiant already have Soon, and Soon is one of the best. Like, he's literally regarded as one of the best Tracers in all of Overwatch League. He's right up there with Sabiobi.
Weird.
So it's definitely an interesting pickup. Soon definitely is a great Widowmaker as well, so this may give way to a Widowmaker being on Soon, and then maybe like a McCree or a Soldier with the Bunny from Seoul, and he can stay on Tracer as well. It just depends on what kind of comp they want to run, but it's definitely interesting to see because Soon is just, I mean, he's had highlight play after highlight play every single week on Tracer, and getting Bunny, they're maybe one and the same, I'm not sure, but it's just hard to tell right now. We'll see kind of how he gets integrated in there. But yeah, that's kind of wrap it up for all the big changes. There's a few here and there. I'd like to mention one thing. Shanghai Dragons, they've added 4 players so far. So, and I'll list them off real quick. I might have them up right now. We got Ado. He's actually a South Korean player. There's really nothing that we can tell. He's a Genji player. That's all I could find on him. We got Fearless, who's another Korean player playing for Shanghai. He did okay at some like smaller tournaments. He's a tank player. He plays Winston, is what he's known for. We also have Sky. He is a support player, which they do need some good support players because their support, that's probably where they're lacking the most, is their support role. And lastly, we have Architect. And actually, Architect is playing for San Francisco Shock. I take that back. Yep, that's not a... take that back. I forgot about that. But yeah, I forget who the 4th player is. I might be able to look it up real quick. Oh, Sky. Or no, did I already say Sky? I think I said Sky. Gregory, that's what it was. Let me look him up real quick. Oh, there it is. He was the tank player. No, who am I missing? Oh no, I'm falling apart over here. Was it Fearless? Did I say Fearless?
Is this the Shanghai Dragons roster that finally wins their first game?
No.
No, honestly, it's not. Just you're hard con right now.
I honestly don't think so. They're adding some decent Korean players, but honestly,
just too little, too late.
They might win their first game. I think they'll be able to pull out one win against a lower tier team. But all the teams have been getting better and better. We've always talked about this throughout the show, is just how much better each team is getting. Even the lower tier players are just starting to get a grasp for what's going on in the meta and all that. And Shanghai really has never had that. And so they're starting way, way behind everyone else, it seems. And adding all these players, it's just going to be... I really don't see how they're going to be able to catch up to the competition, to be honest. But they're adding some decent players in. They're not the horrid trash that we've been dealing with. I think they need more solid support players because that's their biggest problem. You see their tanks and supports just not in tune with each other at all. The tanks go in, the supports kind of sit back, don't heal, tanks die, and then the supports are just destroyed in the back line and there's nothing left to do. So that's like their biggest problem. It always has been, and they just haven't fixed it.
I'd say that sounds like a pretty big problem to have. So
yeah, so I mean, hopefully with the add of the new support player, they can get some stuff rolling. But as of now, I'm not hopeful.
You're not looking too positively at it.
Not looking too positive at all. But anyways, let's look at some matches that are coming up. We got one for each day coming up. So we have Wednesday. We got the Valiant versus the Dynasty. Like I was saying earlier, we're going to see how Soon and what's his face? I forgot his name already. Bunny. are
Funny.
integrated with
There
each
you
other.
go.
It may just be a sub role. It may be playing at the same time. We'll kind of see how that all works out. We're also going to see if the Dynasty, every single stage, they get off to a really hot start and then they kind of fall off. So we're going to see if they can keep that momentum alive, go off hot, and get a win off the Valiant. On Thursday, we have the Outlaws versus the Spitfire. Outlaws, we need you to come back.
That'll be a good one.
I need something. Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting with the new additions as well for them with a new DPS and tank player. We'll see if they see any spotlight this week. But Spitfire, they're always solid, so it's definitely going to be a...
And Spitfire didn't lose any players from their core roster, right?
Not
like
from their
core
no.
6 players. They're not losing anyone.
They haven't changed anyone from their core. I think they added a few meth players here and there just to complete their scrim team, their Team B, as I like to call it. But no, their core, they're all still there. They're still fighting and kicking, and it'll definitely be a test for the Outlaws to see if they can come back and get a footing within stage 3 and not fall to freaking 5th place or 6th place or whatever the heck they were. On Friday, we got the Gladiators versus the Fuel, and the reason I want to highlight this match is, one, the Fuel. We got to see if they're coming up. Their first match of the week is versus Shanghai. Don't care about that right now. So we'll see how they go.
If they don't win against Shanghai, abandon all hope. Yi Hunters here.
I should have mentioned that. Okay. Anyways, yeah. So Fuel versus Gladiators. Gladiators actually got 4th, if I remember correctly. I think they got 4th last stage, which is crazy because they were like 8th or 6th or something like that around stage 1. So they've really been putting it together with their new tank Fissure. Fissure's made an enormous difference. I don't remember what player they got. I think they got another player, but I can't quite remember. But Gladiators, right now, they're solid. We're going to see how the field can fare against them with this new roster, with the new DPS and new support. What was a tank player? I don't remember. Oh, yeah, support player, Unko. So I'm actually really excited for that game. It's not like one of the most high-tier games that there is, but it's definitely going to be the ones that you're just watching for to see how it ends up. That's all that really matters, is to see, can the Fuel finally get something going?
Yeah.
Please, Fuel. Please, please, please. And then on Saturday, we have just the Battle of the Titans, XL versus Spitfire.
Ooh,
nothing really changing between those two rosters. It's just a fun match to watch. Those are the two top dogs, and it's always just super fun to watch. A lot of good Overwatch being played. A lot of just
does Philadelphia
players.
Have any good matches to start it off this week, or no?
Let me see real quick. I know. So Philadelphia is playing against the Boston Uprising. That'll be a good game. They're about evenly matched. Honestly, I think the Fusion are going to destroy them. Fusion have been amazing lately. And they play the Florida Mayhem. I think they get both wins.
Okay, so at the very least, they're playing against mid-bottom tier teams, so won't be necessarily free wins, but they shouldn't be losses either.
For sure. I think they'll do really well against the Boston Uprising. They did well in their last showing, and the Mayhem have been looking better. I don't think they're going to be as good as Philadelphia Fusion, especially how the Fusion have been showing up lately. They've just been playing.
Did Mayhem not take any roster swaps, or are they still sticking to their 6 core and just rolling with that?
The Mayhem got, let me see, Florida got Zappis, Saya Player, and Awesome Guy, which is another. They got 2.
The name is Awesome Guy?
His name is Awesome Guy. Let me see what he does. Awesome Guy is a tank player. He plays Winston and Zarya is what he's known for. We also have Zappis. We'll check it. I think Zappis is a DPS if I remember. So I definitely added a few players here and there. Zappis is going to be... Oh, he's a flex, so he plays Tracer. Zarya is what he's known for. He'll probably play some Diva here and there. And then lastly, we've got Saya Player. He is... he's a DPS, which is what I've been wanting to see from the Mayhem, is a better DPS player. He plays McCree, Widow, Tracer, and I definitely think they needed a better Widowmaker, in my opinion, just because they've done all right. You know,
so I'm not saying this is the Mayhem that wins stage 3, but do you think this is the Mayhem that finally wins a couple more games and is a more consistent mid-tier team?
It's definitely possible. They definitely have some decent players. They've got Logix. He's a Tracer player. He plays McCree, or not McCree, sorry. He plays Widow. His Widow's pretty good. They also have Tavik, who's a Genji, plays Pharah. Both really good players. I think Seiya player is just going to help with the compositions in general. They'll be able to adapt more to one composition rather than kind of have this weird hybrid between the two. And they'll be able to specialize more within those comps. So if they need to go a dive comp, they go to Vic plus Seiya player. If Logic, so sometimes Logic struggles against the better tracers. We'll see how Seiya player works out with his tracer. I'm not sure how great he is at tracer, just because I haven't ever watched him before. But it's another option, especially if Logix is struggling. When you see him play like the New York Excel or even the Spitfire, it's always just him just getting destroyed. It's honestly sad. You can see the frustration on him, and he's just Sabiolobi. I love watching him play against Sabiolobi because Sabiolobi just wipes him every time. So it feels bad. It's sad, but oh man, it's just fun to watch. But yeah, that's about all the news we got this week. Not a lot coming, being that it's the bye week or the rest week. But next week we'll be able to talk about what happened, as well as
who won the miniature off season, as it, I guess so should be called.
Basically, and we'll be able to see the upcoming matches we'll have a better idea of what's going to be happening, who's going to be on top. Honestly, it's going to be New York Excel and Spitfire. We may have really what we're looking at now, which is a little sad, but is these mid-tier teams, who's going to get the edge there.
Okay.
Fusion, my biggest thing, and this is just a real side note, week 2 we have the Fusion versus the Outlaws. I'm really excited for that game if the Outlaws can stop sucking massive amounts of poop. So I was going to say more vulgar term, but I thought I should save it. So if
That's
they do
fair.
suck poop, we'll use a vulgar term.
We should save our expletive allowance for more dire times.
Exactly. So definitely something to watch out for, but I'm excited for this first week. I'll be watching almost every game. I'm excited for Overwatch. So do you have anything else to add here, Trent?
Nope, that's all there is for me. Just keep an eye on playoffs this weekend. LCK and SKT, not LCK, KT and SKT, I actually believe plays on the 4th. Okay. Basically at like 2 a.m. So they play tonight. So this episode will come out a little bit after the game, I believe, but it'll still be a very hype matchup to watch.
For sure. So rewatch it if you can. Well, awesome. That's going to do it for me. You can follow me at BrennanH_ at Twitter. I still haven't fixed the overlay. I probably never will. We'll just keep it as a running meme. You can follow Trent at Avius Gaming on Twitter. You can follow us, like us, all that fun stuff. I'll have all this.
There's going to be some Brennan H that when this show finally does kick off, his followers are just going to jump and skyrocket. He's going to be like some private account.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be like, why are all these people that are into gaming following me on Twitter? What is going on?
One day, the dream. Maybe I'll fix
One day you'll finally get your check mark before you fix the overlay. That's what's going to happen.
Okay,
Mark my words.
That's the goal. I will get verified before I fix the overlay. That's my goal.
Nice.
Alrighty, guys. Well, that's going to do it for us at Recall. We appreciate your viewership. Like I said, subscribe, follow us on Twitter. We always post about it when we go live. Well, not go live. When we release the episode, all that good stuff. And yeah, so appreciate you guys. Take care. This has been Recall. Bye.